Hi, this is Steph with Belladonna Dyes, and today we're going to make an Ibiza caftan. First, you want to start by getting all the fabric out in front of you, and there's a lot of fabric on this one. And I did not turn it inside out. It has these side seams that have flaps of fabric that make it look nice and flowy, and when I turn it inside out, they get all bunched up. Now, it probably doesn't matter. Just do whatever you want to do, whatever seems to work best for you. For me, it felt like having it right side out was best. Now, I get started going in this direction and quickly realize it's not sustainable. It doesn't feel comfortable in like the natural way that I usually tie up a geode. So right here soon, I'm going to flip it around and cut ties and then start over. So here's where being ambidextrous comes in. I think that I'm tying right-handed when I make my geodes because I am left-handed, but I prefer to use the puller with my right hand. And I'd be curious to know which hand do you guys hold the sinew puller with. It doesn't matter, it's just I'm much more comfortable and I feel like I'm more dominant with my right hand, but I do most everything else with my left. It's kind of crazy. So when you're working with the sinew, you want to wrap it around 2 or 3 times and then pull it tight. And wrap it around a few more times and pull it even tighter. The sinew is what's going to create the white lines in your project and give it the contrast. Now, if you didn't want white lines in your project, you could also use kite string, or you could even band them up with rubber bands. It really is just a matter of preference. But for me, in this particular project, I'm looking to have those white lines. When creating geodes, you want it to have a very organic feel. And the way to achieve that is to vary your distance in between each geode. You don't want to make them all exactly 1 inch. I mean, you could, it's not going to hurt anything, but for that more organic feel, like I said, you want to maybe make one geode 1 inch and then the next one 1/2 inch and 1/2 inch and then go 1.5 inches and so on, all the way down until you reach the end. Bada boom, bada bang, the first geode is done. So now you want to get the fabric back out in front of you, get a lay of the land, decide which direction you're going to go next. Now this method I have learned from watching Greg over at Goyo's Garden and Tie-Dye. He recently did a geode and did it like nothing I've ever seen. So did you notice how I just sort of scooped the fabric up along the table? Genius! Greg, that geode you made turned out awesome. I'm going to try to remember to put a link for his geode in the description box, or maybe I'll put it at my end screen so that way you guys can just go over and take a look and see how he did it. And like I said, it works out really good. In the past, you have seen me pick up single layers of fabric and tie it up that way, and I have many geodes. You guys can go back and look at that. But then watching him do it, it just made sense. And I can tell you, because I know what it looks like, this one, this method works really well. So on your next geode, try it out like that. As I'm getting started on this geode, you see me checking the front and the back of the sinew. I'm looking for that tail. I want to make sure that it's all wrapped up and catches in there because I don't want it to become untied as I'm working. And I do periodically check the front and the back of the sinew, making sure that the lines are on top of each other. That's going to create the nice white line. If it's all wonky and all over the place, you're going to have color end up in your sinew lines, which is not necessarily undesirable, but in order to make the sinew work properly, you want it to be wound on top of each other and pulled very tight. So I'm going to kick it into warp drive, or else we'd be here for a very long time. The original recording of this was 1 hour, 2 minutes, and 48 seconds, and I've narrowed it down, to save on time. But I wanted to leave the process in just so you could see me do it. So what have all of you guys been up to this summer? I haven't really done much. I'm working and then creating tie-dye and working in my garden. And I don't know about you guys, I'm sure you're pretty hot where you're at, because if we are 100 degrees in Oregon, then I know the rest of you must be suffering from extreme heat. It's unusual for us to be that hot. Like 85 degrees, I would say, is totally normal, and even in the mid 90s, but up and over 100, we're just not used to that here, and my poor plants are suffering, and I feel so bad for the birds. I see the crows out in the front yard with their wings open and their mouth open, and I tried to take one of my bins, like my totes for tie-dye, and I washed it out really good and I put water in it, but they won't go near it. But if I put food out there, they'll go snatch that up. So there's nothing I can really do for them. So what do you guys do to stay cool? I just stay indoors, and it's so hot in the tie-dye area that I've had to move it into the living room. So now I've just taken over one more room in the house with tie-dye. I swear I'm gonna need a bigger house. There's just tie-dye everywhere. I've been noticing in the Facebook group you guys have been creating a lot of really beautiful things, and that's awesome. And I hope a lot of you are taking advantage of this heat to make some awesome ice dyes. So for those of you that are new to my channel, you may not know, I do have a Facebook group, and it's called Belladonna Dyes Community Tie-Dye Group. And you can find a link for it down below in the description box, along with everything else that's down there, like all the tools and gadgets that I use are down there. But for the Facebook group link, it's the one that's right underneath the Etsy link. The other Facebook is for my business page, and you could follow that if you'd like. All of that stuff helps. So I'd love to have you join the group and share your creations with us. There are so many amazing people in the group, and my group is a learning group, so you never need to feel embarrassed to share your work or ask questions or anything like that, because we all had to start somewhere, and everybody knows that we need to be nice to each other. So join the group. The only thing that I ask is when you go to join the group that you please accept the rules so I can accept you in. If you don't answer, then I have to decline your request, and I don't like to do that. All right, now we're moving on. So I'm gonna scoop, scoop, scoop along the table, and there, just like that easy, I have another geode. Well, I have two actually. So quick and easy, so much easier than trying to just pick up a single layer of fabric and figure it out. This is just genius, Greg. So this mega puller that I'm using is my 4th of July sinew puller that I got from Jen. And you can find your sinew puller from Boredom with Jen. She has a website now. So if you Google Boredom with Jen, the sinew pullers will pop up. I'm not sure if she still has her Etsy or not, but I also have a link for Jen down in the description box so you can get a sinew puller and matching caddy. I love these tools. They are the perfect weight and the perfect size. Especially with this mega puller for doing a larger project like this, you're able to load a lot of sinew on it. So I highly recommend them. This caftan has a ruching on the front of it and on the back of it. You can kind of see it kind of ruffled up down right in there. I like it a lot. The last caftan was just straight and didn't have it, and it's very beautiful. The difference between the two is that ruching. I think it draws your eyes in, and it just gives a little bit of a flattering, well, you'll see at the end, it sort of pleats down the front, so it's just not laying flat against your body. It kind of puckers up, and I don't know, it just gives a little interest. A show of hands, how many of you still have not made a geode because you feel scared and intimidated to make one? Don't be afraid. They are super duper easy to make. Let me tell you. So in the beginning, when I was watching Fun Endeavors, Angie, every time she would put out a geode tutorial, I would comment and say, "Oh my gosh, it's so beautiful and I'm so scared to try." And she would reply back, "Don't be afraid, just do it." And this went on for a year until finally I just broke down and I did one. And it didn't turn out perfect, but I learned a lot through the process. And it did turn out beautiful, but by no means perfect. And then I made another one and another one, and they just keep getting easier and easier and prettier and prettier. And so that's the thing with tie-dye. You have to just jump in with both feet and go for it. You're not going to know until you try. And, you know, it probably won't turn out perfect, but there's a good chance that it will. These are so easy and they're pretty hard to screw up. So just have fun with it and do it. Don't wait any longer. For those of you that do make geodes, how do you choose your color palette? For me, I let the items speak to me. And since this is an Ibiza caftan, that just sounds tropical to me. So I was thinking ocean, palm trees, along those lines. And then I also have to take into consideration, what did I just share with you guys to try to keep the channel interesting? So I just made a purple caftan, so I need to go in a totally different direction. And for instance, like the tank tops that I just made that are all jewel toned and stunningly gorgeous, those just were saying fun, summer, go crazy, pick crazy colors and just have fun with it. All right, we made it. So the next step, I like to mark out my pattern. Now this is not necessary, but it's something that I like to do. So I just decide where I'm going to start, and then I count out so many spaces from that starting point depending upon how many dye colors I'm going to use. And that way it just makes it really easy. And now it's time for the fun part, and my favorite part, we get to add the dye. And I'm just going to, like I said, follow my pattern, put down a little bit of dye in each color, and I'll let you watch how I do that. Several of these colors are special order dyes from Dharma Trading Company, and I've been saying it wrong this whole time. You have to order 5 pounds of dye from Dharma to get the special order dyes. And even 5 pounds is way too much for me. I'm just not going to buy that much. So where you can buy smaller amounts of dye is over on Facebook in the group Tie-Dye Supplies Marketplace. Now I get my dye from Kathy Sprague. I don't think Kathy is selling special order dyes right now, but there are several people in the group that are selling the special order dyes. So again, it's Facebook, Tie-Dye Supplies Marketplace. I should probably put a link for it down in the description box. I think that would make it easier for you guys to find. Yeah, I think I am going to do that. And the colors are absolutely beautiful on this one. Next, give your project a quick little sprinkle of soda ash for good measure and add your ice. I'm using my nugget ice for my Frigidaire ice maker, but you could use ice from wherever you get it. I don't really think it matters. I just love the ease of my Frigidaire. My Pribcho machine is awesome, but it's huge and makes a ton of ice, and I don't have freezer space. Now, if you're using these foil trays from the dollar store, make sure you place them down inside of a tote because they leak. Let's talk about batching just for a second. It's recommended that you batch at 70 degrees or higher for at least 24 hours. Now, when you're working with blues, turquoise, it takes the longest to bond with the fabric and become its true color. So the longer the better when working with the blues. That's just been my personal experience. And I like to batch for the full 48 hours anyways. And after you've been tie-dyeing for a while, you guys, many of you will find that it gets a lot easier to wait. The anticipation to open something up isn't as extreme. Like in the beginning, I could barely stand waiting 24 hours. I mean, now I can just wait like a week before washing things out because I see the rinse out process and the whole washing process as being laborious now. It's not as fun as exciting as it was in the very beginning. Okay, let's talk about the rinse out. So you want to start by using cold water, and that's going to rinse away any soda ash that might still be reacting within the fabric. And then you want to increase your water up to hot and rinse until the water runs pretty much clear. From here, I take it to the washing machine and I do a hot water cycle using Kirillon. And then I like to do a final hot water cycle using Millsoft, which is a professional fabric softener, and I get both of those from Dharma Trading Company. Now, when you're working with rayon, it's very delicate when wet, so you need to wash it in a garment bag. If you tear a hole in it and call up Dharma asking for help, they are not going to help you. So definitely get a garment bag, and I do have a link for them down below in the description box. I got them from Amazon and they're super affordable, but I think you can buy them anywhere. Well, here it is, guys. Here's our Ibiza caftan after I let it air dry and then I ironed it. And I think it turned out stunning. This is Bella wearing it outdoors in the natural light. And notice she's wearing Scotty's pendant. I just couldn't help myself. It goes so well with this caftan. the style and everything. It's just beautiful. I think Bella is 5'9", so notice the length on this. For us shorter girls like me that are 5'4", this thing hangs on the ground. So something to keep in mind, whoever purchases this from you might have to take it and have it hemmed, but that's okay. And then this is the ruching up front, and it's on the front and the back. I definitely achieved that breezy, beachy vibe with these colors. I love it. I really do. It's so pretty. Now, I'm glad that there is some green running through it because a lot of the blues ended up being very similar. And one of the blues threw out some purple, and I wasn't expecting that, but I'm okay with it because it creates some interest and, just some contrast. Now, as far as the caftan itself goes, I say I'll give it 1 thumbs up. The last caftan was like a sturdy rayon. This one is extremely lightweight and delicate, and the seams did hold up, so that's a bonus. But from here on out, it definitely needs to be hand washed. Some of the stuff from Dharma just isn't made very well, and so I'm kind of on the fence with this one. I probably won't ever buy this caftan again just because it feels too delicate. But overall, I think it turned out beautiful. It was fun to work with, and the outcome turned out great, so I'm super happy with it. What do you guys think? Please leave me some comments down below. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe to my channel, leave a thumbs up, and click the bell and set it to all. That way you get notified of future uploads. And remember, have fun tie-dyeing!